what I love is when occasionally a great poet just stumbles along and says, I'd like to be able to come here to read, which means I get to be double plus thrilled to have him coming up next. So ladies and gentlemen, Don Hargrave, give it up for Don! Yeah, I'm not used to people being as tall as me.
You don't have to raise them.
Okay, if you don't mind, I'd like to try a shot at one of my longer poems. Written earlier this year, title of this one is Weather Report Cloudy with a Chance of Rain, man. When I went to Michigan State University, I often hung out at Pinball Pete's, listening to that old-time rock and roll, playing pinball games that were either unreleased demos or made before the days of the long flipper. Wasted a lot of time there, time that would have been better spent studying, sleeping, or getting physically familiar with the female form. Anyway, one night I finished the game when next to it a door opened and a hand beckoned me forward. Curious, I went through the door and followed the guide. While I didn't notice any upward motion, the room at the end of the tunnel had a view of downtown East Lansing. A woman handed me a glass of dark beer, gestured at the view and said, "Welcome, fellow artist. Glad you could join me. What do you think?" I took a quick look outside and said, "Nice view. This the old Masonic Hall?" "Pretty good guess. Anything else you'd like to say right now?" "Yes. First, isn't this building closed? Second, I must tell you that I do not consider myself an artist nor believe that I ever was one. First, the building is still used. Don't let the plywood over the windows fool you, and when the time comes it will be remade for a different purpose. Second, don't knock yourself yet. There's more out there than the distractions and now still the voices within you. You just need to refocus your gaze." And the view around me changed. Instead of East Lansing's downtown grid, I saw unfamiliar cities and landscapes, multiple clubs with audiences within, each one waiting for me. I staggered back. The woman kept me at the edge and said, "There's more to the world than this town of everlasting adolescence." Then came more images. I stared till I was overwhelmed. "A bit much?" the woman asked. "Yeah," I responded after the images stopped. "A lot of people are stunned when they view the world the way you did. Everyone knows the pictures from magazine, movies, and televisions, but those are just illusions made by mixing 3 or 4 colors together. You used to need unicorns, flying saucers, and naked women of other places, races to shock. Now I just need real colors and a sense of realness to the place." I looked at the woman beside me for the first time. Stunning as all hell. Blazing strawberry blonde hair, buxom as a noir film femme fatale, long-legged and well-dressed modestly, she gave the impression of desirable nakedness. "Who are you?" I asked. "No one to mess with. That's all for now," she replied. Then turning around, "But back to you. In front of me you will see 6 doors waiting for you to open. Pick your first door." I looked at the doors. There's nothing to separate one from the other. I walked up to one door, then to another. Finally, I opened the door and saw, instead let me say what the woman said. "As you can see, what happened back then was different than what those books have told you. Here's what you need to know. Our men were manlier than your men, and our women were prettier than yours. Take a look at me and tell me what you see." I then looked up at her again and said, "Someone about whom I would say in my heart, not too worthy. And don't you forget it. And when you take me, it'll be my desire, not your choice. Same with you back then. No flood stopped the couplings. We just withdrew ourselves. Your race had to exonerate themselves and demonize us, so they nailed us up and set us up as the losing side until their God fixed things for them." She then took the door and closed it. The door turned red as she said, "One door chosen, 5 others await. Pick another one to open." I went to another door, shifted my hand open, then opened the door next to it. And in it, a room that looked like a place for practicing magic, complete with unclothed people standing over a drawing on the ground. I moved my eyes onto the books and saw there are various ages and sizes and covers, but all appearing well and recently used. May I suggest you look at the ritual and not the books?" the woman said. "It's good to learn, but it's better to act. You know what the Bible says. The race goes not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor bread to the wise, nor riches to the intelligent, nor favor to those with knowledge, but all favor and power, wealth and adoration go to the ones zealous about applying their gifts to the world. Forget your moral training and look upon the bodies in the arena. You misquote, I jumped in. Ecclesiastes 9:11 ends with the line, "By time and chance happens to them all." Nothing about the works dividing the winners from the sinners. Koheleth lived in different times. Even the Bible reflects the changes, as the parable of the talents show. But back to the arena below. You see that the 13 are working together. Every one of them knows their part and knows the spell they're doing. Some have known their part for decades, others read about it just before this, but they're all acting on that knowledge they picked up. The door starts closing and turning red. That's the key. Action, not knowledge. And as the door finally shut, 4 others await, picking open your last door. I walked back a few steps and noticed the 2 red doors were next to each other. So I walked to the other side and opened the door near the end and saw people writing badly, songs played in song, calls made, business done. In every window I saw the darkness of nighttime. Wonderful views, aren't they? The woman said. You know well the nights of those who have nothing to do and all night to do it, but there's another side to 2 a.m. One where business is taken care of. For too many people, the light interferes. The night for them shows their true essence better than wine or deadlines. And that's not all. Look in again through the door. I looked inside and saw couples embracing. Something like I saw earlier, but less violent, more tender. Love is timid and fugitive in the light. Only after the sun goes down can it blossom and take on full form between lovers. Then as that door closed, she said, "You've seen all you need to know now. The rest you will see when you're ready. It's time for you to go, but I have one last thing to show you." She walked me back to the edge to view again the East Lansing downtown with her hands around my waist. Fear surged through me. Was she going to throw me down into the ground below? Then I looked down and saw 2 people who looked out of place. One was a woman with a shock of silver hair wearing a black jacket. The other looked a bit young, wore a red dress and had golden blonde hair. "Do the 2 look familiar?" the woman said. "The silver-haired one, yes. The girl in red, no," I replied. She then finished, "Memorize their faces. You will meet them in the future. Now go. The time for our meeting has passed." The person who took me to the upper room took me back through the tunnel, then to the entrance and to Pinball Pete's, and when we got to the door, he said, "I suggest you stay up and watch the morning come. I know this place has suffered a major drought in the past few months. When you feel out there's a nice, slow, steady rain that will soak itself into the ground in ways to make the earth alive again. People worship the sun, but it's the rain that keeps the world alive." I turned to the man and said, "May I ask this one question?" "Ask away." "Why are you here, not up there in the room?" One word, restraint. I walked out of Pinball Pete a little bit before 4 a.m., and as the sky shifted from black to dark gray, sat down near where I had seen many sunrises, and as the gray grew brighter, I watched the normal people filter back into their surroundings, filling the roads with cars, filling buildings with business, filling in silence with noise. And I remember thinking, every evening we watch as darkness takes over. Light goes from all over to a single direction and from there to points overhead. And the normals hide behind doors and walls, leaving the streets to darker forces, only to reawaken in a world pre-righted and awashed in the morning light. Is it any wonder we have long considered darkness stronger than light? 6:16 a.m., I dismissed everything the female form told me that night. Suddenly the need to sleep overtook me, so I went to my room, closed the drapes, and tucked myself in. It took till about 7 o'clock to slip into a fitful nap that ended up being enough to cover me through the next day before going back to my normal sleeping patterns, which ran late then. Coda. I eventually met the woman in red. She said she was legal. Don't think I cared. The silver-haired woman I met and came to know before I moved away, but didn't get any closer than that, though the thought was entertaining. And I've yet to re-meet up with that redhead I met that night. So as far as I know, at least not in the form I saw her. Thing is, in her words, it was assumed I would start writing in at some point, and I'm writing again, so things about to that point where I could meet up with her again, but do I want to? The woman seemed to want too much to be feared. If I remember right, her angels go out of the way to comfort those whom they visit. And as a final note, that Masonic Hall had been renovated to an apartment building. 12 apartments within its walls, last I heard. 2 times 6. Coincidence? maybe, but I'm not gonna worry about that.
Oh,